Hello, we are Team 5. I'm Andrea, and we have Laura, Juan, and Wagner. And today we are going to present you our data analysis. Our company is in need to improve the amount spent by customers. In order to do this, it is important to learn and understand what makes some customers spend more than others. We have used a data set with 10,000 data points, 1,000 observations in each category, 9 independent variables, and 1 dependent variable to evaluate what could influence the amount spent by customers and explain the reason behind it. Based on this, our marketing analyst's first null hypothesis was based on the assumption that there is no relationship between any variable and amount spent.
In order to test this hypothesis, we looked at the factors that seem to influence amount spent. As we can see in the graph, middle age, old age, male gender, own home, married, and a high history in our regression analysis are the findings that are not necessarily significant for our variables because they have high p-values considering the regression analysis that we did. However, as we can see on the other side, far location, salary, children, low history, medium, and catalogs are values for the p-values that are lower. That's why we decided to reject the null hypothesis. Also, some of the things that we should say is that we have sufficient evidence to say that there is a relationship between variables such as far location, salary, children, low history, medium history, and catalogs to amount spent. Now, let's look as well at jointly variables influence the spend, which means that the significance lower than 5% in the confidence level of 95% means that the variables jointly have an influence on amount spent. And also additional input to variables are adding to our model because there are adjusted value as being 74%, it has some significance and is also able to predict the value for amount spent on 74% of the probability. Now let's look at the spend equation that we predicted, and as we can see in the graph, and also for the coefficients and the variables that are significant, their p-values are all lower than 5% in our confidence level, and that's why we chose to use them as our predicted amount spent equation was built.
So after looking at all the variables, we decided to go more into detail regarding salary. So we ran a separate regression only looking at salary versus amount spent. And we found that people with lower salaries spend less at our store, while people with higher salaries spend more. However, because our R-squared value, as you can see here, is only 0.48, this means that if we were only to look at salary when trying to calculate or predict how much a person will spend, we would only be able to predict an accurate amount 48% of the times.
Following this, we created a second null hypothesis, which is that there is no difference between close and far location to the amount spent.
So to test the previous hypothesis, we decided to run a t-test assuming equal variances between far and close locations. After doing so, we found that people who live far actually spend more and people who live close spend less. This can be explained because people who live close to the store will most likely come often and spend less every time they come, while people that live far will only come once or twice per month and spend a higher quantity of or higher amount every time they come. With this in mind, we decided to reject the second null hypothesis because we have sufficient evidence to say that there is a difference between close and far people who live close and far to the store.
Having all this in mind, we recommend not to advertise towards gender or marital status since it's not relevant to the amount spent, because as we saw in the regression analysis, marital status is not significant towards amount spent. Also to sell cheaper products to attract more customers and increase the overall amount spent. Additionally, focus on customers with no children because as we saw in the regression, the coefficient for children is negative. Therefore, people with less children spend more at our store. Also to send e-catalogs with promo codes, considering that the regression model, the coefficient for catalogs was positive. Therefore, sending more catalogs will likely increase the amount spent, and the promo codes will tackle customers with lower salaries. And to create bundles for smaller items in order to encourage customers that live close to buy higher quantities. Thank you.